Okay, let's start the session. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to all of you. Before we begin the session, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Collab and Rise Global Society for giving me this chance and platform to share my experience regarding how we can write a good research proposal. As you all know that Collab and Rise Global Society is a dynamic platform that are specifically dedicated to empower researchers, students, and academic worldwide by creating connection with all the researchers all around the world. So I am deeply honored for to this society for providing me a chance to arrange a session on this specific topic. My name is Akshay Iqbal and currently I am doing PhD chemistry from University of Sassari, Italy. And it would be an honor for me to share my experience regarding the research proposal to all of you. So before beginning the session, I would like to say that we will take the questions one by one. You have to just raise your hands to ask your queries, and the host will unmute you, and you can ask your question. We will shift from asking the questions from the audience and some from the chat box because the previous week we organized a proper session that how can we write a good research proposal, but this time this session is totally dedicated to answer your queries regarding the research proposals. So you can raise your hand and we can take the questions from you one by one, and keep in mind that you have to keep your mics mute. If someone tries to interfere during the question answers, then they have to be removed from the meeting. So you can ask your question one by one. Marwa, are you here in the meeting? Okay, Umar Farooq, please ask your question.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum Assalam.
I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
मैम प्रपोजल का सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट कौन सा होता है जिससे रिव्यूअर सबसे पहले इम्प्रेस होता है या उसे रिजेक्ट कर देता है एट दैट पॉइंट?
देखिए ओवरऑल तो रिसर्च प्रपोजल जो है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, लेकिन जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ होती है वो ये होती है कि आपने रिसर्च गैप जो है वो उसको कैसा रखा हुआ है। क्योंकि रिसर्च गैप एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो कि कनेक्ट करती है कि आपने प्रीवियसली कितना ज़्यादा लिटरेचर पढ़ लिया है और आगे जो है वो आपने उस रिसर्च गैप की बेस पर कैसी मेथडोलॉजी डेवलप की है और कैसा जो है वो रिसर्च प्रपोजल डेवलप किया है। तो जो बेसिकली रिसर्च गैप है ये आपके रिसर्च प्रपोजल की जो है वो बैकबोन है। इट इज वन ऑफ द बेसिक एलिमेंट। इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम बाकी एलिमेंट्स को जो है वो इग्नोर कर दें, लेकिन रिसर्च प्रपोजल जो है वो कमेटी को ये बताता है, ऑब्वियसली रिसर्च गैप जो है वो कमेटी को ये बताता है कि आपने आपकी जो है वो कितनी ग्रिप है प्रीवियस लिटरेचर पे और आपकी जो साइंटिफिक थिंकिंग है वो कितनी स्ट्रांग है। ऑब्वियसली जब आप किसी भी स्टडी में रिसर्च गैप को फाइंड करते हैं तो इसका मतलब ये होता है कि आपने ऑलरेडी प्रीवियस लिटरेचर को एक्सटेंसिवली पढ़ा है और आपको पता है कि सिस्टमेटिकली एक खास इरा में जो है वो चीजें कैसे चली हैं और किस तरह से जो है वो आप अपनी थिंकिंग को डेवलप करते हैं कि आपने फ्यूचर में इस रिसर्च गैप को कवर करना है। सो अकॉर्डिंग टू मी research gap is one of the most basic element of your research proposal. Next question. जी Zuhaid Nazir.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, my question is about the ethical use of artificial intelligence. In previous meeting, you have described that we can use AI as a tool and we have to write the proposal by ourselves. So my question
Yes.
is, whenever we are writing an article, so our proposal, we can use it as a tool for proof editing, like we can check it, the subject verb agreement mistakes or article mistakes or punctuation.
Okay. So in the previous meeting, I have described that you have to do some things and some things you have to avoid while writing a research proposal. And for the AI, I used it that you can use it and you cannot use it. Some students use the AI for the generation of the whole research proposal, but I told you to use the AI just for getting the guidance regarding a specific literature. For example, if you have read extensive literature regarding a specific subject but you are not clear, you can ask the ChatGPT or any AI tool that I am trying to write the article. I am unable to find the gap. Then ChatGPT can or any other good AI tool can give you guidance in a better way. But if you are saying that in order to proofread your mistakes or in order to check the grammatical mistakes in your research proposal, then I would suggest you that instead of using the AI, you should use some other app. For example, if I am writing a document on a Word format, and there is a very famous app that is called as Grammarly. If you install that app in your laptop and connect it to your Word file, then that app will immediately identify your mistakes in from the sentence. So I would recommend you, if you upload your specific paragraph on AI and you will tell it that please proofread it or identify the mistakes, and you still copying the data from the AI, then it seems to be you are still taking the help from AI. Yes, you can use it, for example, for the subject verb agreement for the minor mistakes, but I would suggest you can install the Grammarly app in your laptop, that if you are writing a wrong sentence or there is a problem in the subject verb agreement, then that Grammarly app will immediately highlight that problem in your original Word document. So you can use that application for the proofreading of your data.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Next, Fatma sir. Yes.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am. I hope you are doing
Walaikum
well.
assalam.
Well, I wanted to ask that is synopsis or study plan similar? Because most of the universities ask for synopsis instead of research proposal. Can you please clarify it?
Study plan is just like a research proposal, but research proposal is basically based on a proper literature survey and proper methodology, proper introduction, proper background, the what characterization techniques you are going to use in your research proposal. Synopsis is also just like a proposal, but it is a less detailed document. For example, if I compare that, if research proposal consists of 15 pages, then I would say that the synopsis will be consisted of 4 to 5 pages. It's just like a research proposal, but you express your ideas in a very concise way with less detail. And the second thing is that most of the time, I used to live in Pakistan, so according to the universities there, in synopsis you develop a plan regarding a specific proposal, but that is not a clear plan. For example, if you are trying to do some study in a future on a some element, then you can keep that element journal, you can keep that technique journal, and you express your idea that we are going to do this in the future. But in research proposal, you write proper introduction, proper research methodology, proper means characterization technique, expected outcomes, a Gantt chart, all in a detailed way. But the synopsis is just a summarized form of a research proposal with less detail.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome. In the meanwhile, you can also write your queries in the chat box of the meeting. I will try to rectify all of them one by one. I don't know how many of you attended my last session, but I hope that many of you attended it, and we have also shared the PPT to the social media regarding how we can write a good research proposal. So if you have that specific questions from that PPTs or from that discussion, you can also ask from them, because I received a lot of requests from all of you that I have to conduct another session to identify your problems or to answer your queries and all those things. And if any one of you wants that I need to share that presentation again or explain again, then you can write your opinion in the chat box. Yes, Larib.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum assalam.
Ma'am, what is the common thing that mostly reject the research proposals of many students?
Okay. The common thing, according to me, could be many factors. Okay, one of the factors is that your research proposal is not clear. I have reviewed the research proposal of the many students, and the first thing is that still I am saying again and again that don't use the AI while writing the research proposal. But still, students use the AI, and even if I look at the research proposal first, I can easily recognize that this sentence is or this proposal is generated by AI. First thing is that you should not use the AI in your research proposal. Second thing is that you are proposing a research that you are going to do it in the future, but you are not clear in expressing or in writing the research proposal. For example, if the committee is asking you to write a research proposal with proper introduction, methodology, and all these things, but still students don't take these instructions and they just write the vague methodology. For example, if I am writing a research proposal and I am developing a method, then I will start it from a proper method. Like for example, 12 ml of water will be added into the 2 ml of sodium chloride, and they will be put into the heating. Things like these. We have to write a proper methodology, but what they do is that they took the help from the AI and they just write that we will use the water, the sodium chloride to develop this. Not like a proper methodology that we have to adopt in a laboratory or while performing the experiment. So these type of things are discouraged while writing the research proposal. And apart from this, sometimes students think that they can write the research proposal of their choice. They don't consider the instructions of the university. I know a student, she got 0 marks in research proposal because she was not following the instructions of the university, and she tried to write the research proposal in her own style on the topic of his master thesis, and she got the 0 marks in the research proposal. So there are many things, but one of the main things is that you are not clear in your ideas in expressing that what you are going to do in the future. Okay, let's take the questions from the chat box. I read your PPT, that was amazing. But if you please go through it, it will be the best I want, because I thought it will be a whole session and I will be able to get the certificate. Okay, one thing I want to made it clear. Yes, when I was the undergraduate student, I was fond of getting the certificate from the webinar, but dear students, some webinars are just for your information, just for solving the problems that you are facing right now and to help you to get the good positions in the future. Every seminar or the session is not for the certificate. You have to attend some sessions just for your own self, just to clear your own confusion, just to get a good scholarship for your own future. So please, it's better it's better if you get some scholarship just for yourself and for your future. From previous research, can we write research proposal by changing technique or plan? Yes, you can. For example, if you have done a specific research in a specific topic in your masters, then as you have conducted that research by yourself, you know that what are the research gaps that are still not covered by my research due to the lack of the instructions, due to the lack of the techniques in my university. Then you can create a very good research gap from that study, and you can write a research proposal from that master's work. And one thing I want to made it clear is that you can use your previous research for writing a research proposal if the university did not mention that you have to write the research proposal of that topic. Most of the, for example, in Italian universities, most of the universities provide you a specific instructions that you have to write the research proposal on this topic. But if they don't provide you any topic, then you can use your previous research for writing the research proposal. Then what is the most important aspects to focus on when conducting a literature review? It's all depend on your own ability, how you conducting a literature review. For example, while doing a literature review, you have to do you have to conduct it that you have to identify a specific research gap from the literature review. Okay, I mean, what is the purpose of doing the literature review? The main purpose of doing the literature review is that you have to develop a gap. Whenever you are writing a research proposal, you have to build a specific topic. How can you build a specific topic? You can build a specific topic by reading the previous literature, because you read a previous literature regarding a specific topic, and when you are conducting the literature review by reading the different papers, then you will come to know, okay, in that topics a specific type of research has been done, but this aspect or this area is not been or has not yet covered. So you can take that area as a research gap and can use it as the topic of your research proposal. I had done the extensive discussion regarding it in my previous session. Also tell us how we select a topic that never be rejected. Topic is never rejected. Topic is never rejected. It is the research proposal that is rejected. First of all, you have okay. Let's keep this question for the presentation, which I am going to share in the few minutes. In which I will give you the techniques that how you can select a specific topic for your research proposal. Okay, next question, Mohammed Dawood. Ma'am, can we publish the research free of cost on Google website by connecting foreign researchers or through platforms? Yes, you can publish the research free of cost. Yes, you can make the connections on the LinkedIn, and you can publish your you can publish on social media that I am writing the research, I am writing the a paper on this topic, and I want few collaborators for the for helping me in doing that research or in writing the paper. You many people will approach you, and you can write the and you can publish the paper in free of cost to any journal. Even you can publish via yourself without connecting to the any foreigners, and there are a lot of journals in which you can submit your paper free of cost. Okay, SM Mahmood, please ask your question.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum Assalam.
Ma'am, recently I have completed my graduation from Kara University.
Okay.
So now I want to start my MPhil from Punjab University and GC University.
Okay.
So, ma'am, which topic is most worthful nowadays for research?
In which domain? What is your previous background?
Previous background in organic chemistry, synthesize, chemical synthesize, like
Okay, means your
advanced
background
chemical.
is chemistry. Okay. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
if all of you know that these days AI has taken the control of most of the things, and if you for example, if you are writing the research proposal in chemistry, or maybe in for example in biology, in non-sciences, then I would suggest you to try to integrate some good AI technique, or try to learn some techniques like machine learning, or the Python or R, or some types of techniques that can boost up your that can boost up the your research, that can give you different skills. Because when I was applying for the different PhD positions, there are various PhD positions that were just the subject based simple chemistry positions, but in the in the experience or work experience, they asked for if you have the Python, or if you have the machine learning skills or the AI skills, then it could be a plus point for your profile. It means that the trend of the world is now shifting towards using the AI in the sciences as well. So I would suggest you to try to learn, or try to integrate, if you're undergraduate students, or if you are going to start your masters either from Pakistan, you should start learning these skills and try to incorporate in your study. It will enhance the impact of your research. So now I am going to share the presentation with all of you.
Ma'am, one more question.
Okay.
Ma'am, recently I was synthesized soap to remove paint from hand.
Sorry. Can
To
you please?
synthesize the soap to remove the
So,
paint from hand.
okay.
मैम आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, you are audible. Please proceed.
Ma'am, I was continue to more research on this synthesis of soap to learn the different chemicals
Okay.
like natural products and other chemicals to synthesize in labs. So, which sorry, ma'am.
No problem. You can write your questions. If this session is actually in English, because last time I was trying to conduct the session in Urdu, but many of the participants from you are requested me to conduct this session in English, because there were many international students. But if you have any problem in asking the question in English, it's no problem for me. You can ask your question in Urdu. I will translate that question in English, so that everyone in the meeting can understand what the student is actually trying to ask, then I will try to answer it as much as I can. Okay, so it's not a pressure or burden for you. You can ask your question in Urdu, and if you say I can conduct that session in Urdu too, but last time there was the request from all of you to conduct the session in English. That's why I conducted the session in English. So it's please tell me, you want, all of you want the session in English or Urdu?
And basically, we try to learn English.
Ehsan, you can ask your question after the session. It's not problem for me. Or you can write your query in the chat box. I can try to identify or try to resolve it after this. Okay. So the slides are visible or no? Okay. Okay. Let's start the
Yes,
session.
ma'am, visible.
Okay, so this is the presentation which I presented last week while we were doing the session on how to write a good research proposal. So you all know that a research proposal. What is a research proposal? Research proposal is basically a proposal, a study that you are presenting to someone, that what you are going to do in the future, and it consists of some parts, and some of the basic parts are its title, its abstracts, its introduction and background, a problem statement, a literature review, methodology, expected outcomes, your Gantt chart or timeline, and the references at the end. So all of you know that what are these components. Many of the students know what are these components, but they don't know how to cover these components. First, it's the title. Title is just the title of your research proposal that describes what you are going to do in your in that study or in that proposal. Then abstract. Abstract means the all the study you are going to done, and you presented it in a short form, and abstract is always written at the end of the study. It comes after the title, it's come first, but it is always written while you completed your research proposal. Then introduction and background. In this part, you introduce why you are choosing that topic, what type of work has been done, and what type of study is what type of study is going to cover in your upcoming part of the research proposal. Then problem statement and objectives, or you can call it the research gap. While you are covering the introduction and background in the previous heading, in this part you are basically expressing what is the research gap and what you are going to do in your research proposal. Then literature review is sometimes some universities ask separately for the literature review, and some of them merged it in the introduction in the name of the background. Then the methodology. Methodology means the steps that you are going to take in your research project, your sampling techniques, how you are going to conduct that research in the future, and all the plans. Expected outcomes mean what outcomes you are expected from a study. And then timeline means how these all the study that you are presenting in your research proposal is will be covered in a specific timeline. For example, if you are planning to do the PhD that consists of 4 years or 5 years, 6 years, or in some countries 7 years, then you would you divide that study into those years, and explain how you are going to do the research work in the future. And the references mean the citations at the end of your research proposal. So this is the top. This is one of the most important part that is going to be considered, because whenever you are writing a research proposal, you always choose a specific topic for your research proposal. And many students find so much difficulty in choosing a specific research topic for the research proposal. In my previous session, we did a deliberate discussion on this, that how can we choose a good topic for research proposal. Before choosing a topic for a research proposal, I would like to explain it to all of you that the research proposal topic, or any paper topic, it's either a research paper, it's either a review article, it's either a proposal, and every such document topic consists of only two parts. One part is the material or technique. For example, you are using any material or you are using any technique. For example, if you are belonging to chemistry, I will say for in materials you are, for example, using the metal nanoparticles. If you belong to the biology, I will say for the material you are taking that animal, for example, you mosquitoes blood, for example, a material. Or if you are belonging to the plants, you are taking specific plant species or techniques are mostly used in a non-sciences background. For example, English or the linguistics or the mathematics or all that. And plus you have to apply these materials or techniques for the specific application. This is all the summary of your topic for any study, for any research proposal. For example, if I am here and I have done a specific literature review or background study, then I can easily develop a specific topic for a research proposal. For example, I am here, I will try to develop the topic from the sciences and from the non-sciences. For example, I am going to develop a topic for a research proposal. If I am talking about the sciences, then I will consider a material. For example, I am taking nanoparticles, yeah, metal nanoparticles. And application means I am going to do the study for the removal of the heavy metal ions from the wastewater. It means I am going to apply it for some study. So my topic will be that the development of metal oxide nanoparticles for removing heavy metals from the wastewater. It's just your topic of the study. Similarly, if you are using any techniques, if as I am not familiar with the non-sciences, I belong to the sciences background, but I will try to develop it for you. For example, previously a student contacted me and she was from English background and she was trying to develop a topic for the research proposal. She was basically Her topic was basically used the emojis to study the behavior of the people in the conversation. As you know that we all use the emojis or stickers while we are doing conversation with someone. So she was using a technique, and the technique was that usage of emojis in the conversation. And her application was that to study the effect on the behavior of the people. You can see, just by following these two techniques, I develop a very good topic. But in order to develop this topic, that now you will ask what material, what technique, what application. Because in a topic of a proposal, we try to develop a research gap. We try to cover a specific problems that is not previously covered by the literature. Then okay, you have explained that we can use material or technique for using it for some specific application. But for this you have to do a sphere literature survey, literature review. Okay, so now we will come in the reverse order. You are doing the specific literature survey. Okay, you are saying okay, they have used this technique, this technique for this application. But previous literature is saying that they have not used this technique, this specific technique for the application. So now I can try to cover that technique, or I will now use that material to cover this research gap. So you have choose a material, you have choose the technique, and you are going to apply that technique for your study. So it would be going to be your topic for the research proposal. So I hope all of you understand that how can we write a research proposal. Even if you if you read any paper, any review article from the Google Scholar, they would be very long, they would be short, but the two main points in them is that they are focusing on some material or technique, and they will use that material or technique for studying the specific application. So this is the whole about your research proposal. Now I am going to cover what you have to do in your research proposal, what necessary things you have to do in your research proposal, and what things you have to avoid while writing the research proposal. Number one is that always write the research proposal after reading specific and relevant relevant literature or relevant data. So as you know that you can write the research proposal only after reading a relevant research proposal. In the previous slide, I already said that unless you read a specific literature, specific topic in the previous literature, you cannot develop a research proposal. Research proposal is actually, what is a research proposal? Research proposal is that the something is not done previously and you are going to do it in the future. It means, how do you know that this study is not being done in the past? It means you have read a specific literature. Now you come to a conclusion that this part is not being covered by the previous literature, so I am going to cover it in my research proposal. Use AI as a support tool for brainstorming, outlining, and editing. Yes, you can use the AI for taking the ideas, for outlining, for editing, for getting the ideas. For example, if I say you have read extensive literature, extensive literature, extensive literature, then you can also take some help from any AI tool that you can say that you have read this type of paper, this type of paper, this type of paper, this type of paper, though. So the research is growing in this trend. So how can I strengthen this study in the future? The AI tool will give you so many ideas. You can use that ideas, integrate them with some specific application to develop your research proposal. But you cannot use the AI for generation of the whole research proposal. For example, some students use the AI like, okay, I am going to write research proposal on this topic, on the use of metal nanoparticles for wastewater treatment. Please write a complete research proposal from introduction, literature gap, methodology, expected outcome, and they generated the whole data using the AI. So don't use the AI for this purpose. It's just a help, not your alternative. Okay. Then use the visual elements like images, tables, or diagrams when they make the idea easier to understand. So okay, there was a question. I don't know, someone tried to remove me from the meeting. That's why I was disconnected. So let's share the slides again. Host, please be careful. Someone is misusing the buttons of the Team app. Okay, and now uh, we were discussing the points that use visual elements like tables, diagrams, images to make the proposal attractive. Okay, visual elements mean you can use the graphical abstract, you can use the graphical abstract, you can use the Gantt chart, you can use the flow sheet diagrams for explaining your process. Like in methodology section, you are developing a methodology. You can express your ideas in the form of the diagram. And some students complain that they don't know how to make the diagrams. Then you can easily take the help from the Canva. The Canva has many PowerPoint templates. You can easily get one template and edit it and use it as a diagram to add in your research proposal. One of the student asked the questions previously that was not covered by the session. She was asked after the session that she used these elements for writing the research proposal. She did not pass the research proposal part in the university, and she did not get the good marks. Okay, dear students, I want to clear one thing. All these visual elements I would just you can say as use as a supplementary elements. It means, for example, you have a house, you have a very good house, you built a very good house. Now you want to make it attractive. So you think, okay, I need to decor my house by using different kinds of paints that will make my house attractive. But if your house is not built in a proper way, if the bricks are in a disordered way, then if you try to paint that house will not look attractive. Similar is the case with the research proposal. You can use those elements to enhance or to increase the impact of your research proposal. But if your initial, if your basic structure of the research proposal, or if your writing style is not good in the research proposal, then these elements will not help you to gain the good marks. So the most important thing is then that you have to write a very good research proposal first, and then you should add those elements to enhance the enhance the marks of your research proposal. If you are thinking, okay, I can write average research proposal, but I will add the visual elements in my study, and then you will get a good marks, then it's a not good, it is not a good thinking. Okay, so you should keep those both the things in a balanced way. And third thing is, that I want to make it clear, is that many students think that their research proposal should be perfect. No, it should not be a perfect. It's a myth that you have to cover everything 10 by 10, every part 10 by 10. No, your research proposal should not be perfect. Your research proposal is just for the evaluation, that how much good writing skills you have, how good you can think in terms of thinking about a specific problem for the literature. They don't check you that how much perfect you are in writing the things. They only check your scientific knowledge, how you can understand the literature, how you can derive the ideas from the literature. The purpose of research proposal is only this. Next is include the Gantt chart to show the project timeline clearly. Okay, in the upcoming slides, I will show you what is the Gantt chart. Gantt chart is basically a timeline picture in which you add a picture at the end of your research proposal that will express how you are going to cover the things that you have expressed previously in your research proposal in an ordered way. Many student makes the table at the end of the research proposal. Okay, it's a good thing, but in order to make your proposal very attractive, you should add a Gantt chart. And the Gantt chart also explains that this student have the idea that how many which activity takes most time. For example, if you are proposing a literature, you are starting from the introduction and background study, then you are developing a methodology, then you are developing expected outcomes and all that. Then your Gantt chart will show that in 3 years, for example, 4 months are being taken by your literature survey, then 1 year is being taken by your methodology development, 6 months is being taken by your results and all that. So Gantt chart is a very important tool to express your ideas clearly. Then use future tense in the methodology section and for the proposed action. Yes, most of the students try to copy the data methodology from the previous paper, and they use the past tense in the methodology section. But as you are writing the research proposal, it means you are going to express what you are going to do in the future. So always use future tense in the methodology. This is a minor point, but this is a huge mistake that mostly students do while writing the research proposal. Next, write in clear, concise, and formal academic language. As you know that you are writing a proper research proposal, you should be very clear, you should be very concise. Research proposal should not be very lengthy, should not be very short, that it seems to be a synopsis rather than a proposal. And a formal academic writing, because you are writing in a proper way, so you should use a very good and formal academic writing. Then align the research proposal objectives methodology carefully. This is one of the most important points. You are developing a research problem, you are identifying a research gap. It means you are going to clarify it in the methodology, because on the base of this research problem, you are developing a new methodology, that how you are going to solve this problem by developing a specific methodology. And objectives, it means you write objectives for specific research proposal. For example, objective means to develop to cover this gap, to develop good methodology, to do the characterization techniques for solving for characterization of your material. It means your objectives explain that what you are going to do in your whole research proposal. So there should be a proper alignment in your research problem, in objectives, and in methodology. Then comes the don'ts. Okay, these are the things which you should not do while writing the research proposal. Do not rely on AI to replace your own understanding, analysis, or writing. I already discussed this point extensively in the previous slide, that you can use the AI just as your helper tool, but you should not use the AI for generation of the data. And even I know that many of you are thinking that no problem, I can use the AI, then I will use you use any AI tool and to remove the AI of that of the document, and then I will submit the research proposal. If the Turnitin report is saying that I have not used the AI, then it's okay. I can, why I will do so much struggle for writing the research proposal, for doing the literature survey? You are totally wrong, because here the admission committees are very clever and they use advanced tools that can easily identify that you have used the AI in your writing or no. And second thing is that you should have the idea that whenever you are developing that, you're generating the data from the using the AI, and you are trying to remove the AI by using different tools, then AI will distort the your sentence structure, your sentence sense. I have read many research proposal of these students. They use the AI and they try to remove the AI as much as they can by by uploading the sentences on the AI tools and try to rephrase it, and they rephrase it many times that it distort the original soul of the sentences. So please don't use the AI in your writings. Don't be so clever that you thinking, okay, my Turnitin report saying 0% AI, it means I have not used it. No, even if the students send me the research proposal after removing the AI, I can easily identify that it has been written by the AI. If I can identify that it's the AI has been used, then how the admission committee cannot identify that you have used the AI or no? Then do not overload your documents with too much of the text or unclear visuals. I have seen many students that thinks that if I write the research proposal of 20 pages, detailed research proposal, then I will get the good marks. Or if I add too much pictures, then it will enhance the impact of my research proposal. You are totally wrong. Research, first of all, the number of the words or the length instructions are always given by the university. If the university don't give you any instructions regarding the length of the research proposal, then your research proposal should be of 4,000 to 5,000 words. It's enough. And try to add only 2 to 3 pictures in your research proposal. If I say one for the graphical abstract, one for the methodology section, and one at the end of the proposal, a Gantt chart. So it's more than enough. But some students, what they do is that they add separate picture for the methodology, separate picture for the characterization session, separate pictures for the expected outcomes. It can affect the impact of your research proposal. So be concise, be lenient while adding the picture. And do not use present or past tense in the methodology section where when describing future work. I have already discussed this point in the previous slide, that don't use present or past tenses in the methodology. Always use future tense. So these are some of the things you have to avoid while writing the research proposal. Then the last part is that common mistakes which I myself identified while reviewing the research proposal of many students. Use of active voice tenses in the methodology. This seems to be a very simple thing, but it has a very huge impact. Most of the science students have this and this fake, you can say, thinking in their mind is that okay, we are belonging to the sciences background, so the sentence verb agreement or the sentence structures that does not matter in the science. But you are totally wrong. It matters a lot, specifically in the methodology section. You have to use the passive voice tenses, the passive future tenses in the methodology, not the active voice tenses. For example, if I say some students write the methodology like this, 2 ml, I fill 2 ml of the water in the beaker. This is wrong. This is active voice. you should write 2 ml of the water will be filled in the beaker or will be taken in the beaker. So always use active voice tenses in the methodology. Then the other mistake I previously highlighted is that use of past tenses in the methodology. Never use past tense, because proposal means the proposed study, the future study which you are going to do in the future. It means you have to use the future tense. Structure of the objectives. Structure of the objectives I will discuss. I will show you some examples in the upcoming slides. That what the students do is that they start some this is a very common mistake that I have found while reviewing the research proposals, that they don't care about the structure of the objectives. They start some of the objectives like to identify this mistake, to use this methodology, to do the characterizations, to do this. Half objectives like this, and half evaluate this problem, describe this methodology, use this tool like this. They don't have the uniformity in the structure of the objective. Then proposal without abstract. Sometimes the university give you that your proposal should have this headings, and students consider that I should not write the abstract for this proposal. Abstract is one of the most important part of the proposal, so don't skip that part. If the university give you specific headings that your proposal have this, still you have to write a good abstract for your proposal. Then there is a debate regarding the references in the methodology. Some students think that we should add references in the methodology, and some students think that we should not add references in the methodology. Okay, let me clear that you can use references in the methodology and you cannot use references in the methodology. For example, if you are using a specific model, for example, Langmuir model, if you are mathematician, you are using Pythagoras theorem, that study is or previously done by the scientist, you can put the reference here. That, for example, you are writing a methodology. In one step, you said that this study will use the Langmuir isotherm model. Then you can put the reference there. But some students, what they do is that they will write, okay, I am adding the 2 ml of the water will be added in 2 ml of the ethanol, and they will put the reference in after that sentence. This is wrong. While writing the simple sentences or developing a methodology, there is no need to write the references in references. But if you are using some model, some model or some you can say theorem for the previous literature, you can give the reference there. But for writing simple experimental sentences, you should not use the methodology there. If you are using methodology there, then this will show that you are already taken all the ideas from the previous literature. Is there any problem? Okay, last one is that if not following institutional guidelines, students strictly not follow the institutional guidelines. If the university says that your abstract should be of 250 to 200 words, then it should not exceed the 200 words. If they say there should be 2 diagrams in the whole research proposal, then you should not exceed from the 2 diagrams. If the university says that you have to write the research proposal on this theme, then you have to write research proposal on that specific theme. You cannot use your own master's research or your own topics that you were thinking, okay, I can write the research proposal on this topic. Then you will lose your marks. Okay, so don't try to do this. Okay, this is the example of the winning research proposal. This is my own research proposal that I used for one of the Italian university. Here you can see I have used a graphical abstract at the start of my research proposal, and these are the headings that was provided by my university. They told me to use this structure for writing the research proposal, so I gave a specific topic to them, and then the state of the art objectives. Here you can see that you can see all the objectives are starting from the 2. Yani means they have a very uniform structure. but some students don't care about this. Then methodology means you can write a specific methodology, proper methodology. For example, here you can see I am you writing the future passive voice tense. For example, from the process of making graphene oxide will be performed via the modified Huemmer's method. Like this, you have to use the future passive voice tenses. You can see here, and here I have added one diagram, methodology diagram, simple diagram, and I am thinking that it enhanced the impact of my proposal too much. This is a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is basically, here you can see that it's a table. In one column you have you can write all the activities which you are going to perform in the future in that research, and these are the years in which your PhD is being divided. And for example, 2025, 26, 27, 28, and in for example, if you 26 has 12 months, then you can divide it into 3 quarters, means 4 months Q1, 4 months Q2, 4 months Q3, and then you can divide these activities according to all these months. So this is an example of the Gantt chart, and you can see all the things and the references at the end of the proposal. So this is the example of other research proposal. Then here, this is also the graphical abstract I made for another university. You can see, or you can easily take any template from the Canva, modify it if you have your drawing skills are not very good. And here are the Gantt charts. If you write on Canva that you Gantt charts, then you can easily get many templates that how you can write you can make a good Gantt chart, or you can simply make it on the Excel sheet as I have made. This is from I have made in on the Excel. So it's up to you which strategy you will take. Okay, so it's all about the research proposal. Now you can raise your hand one by one if you have any queries. In the meanwhile, I will try to take questions from the chat box. Okay. There are some questions. One of the questions is that, ma'am, please also conduct a webinar on how to publish article over self. Razia, we are already conducting a course on how to write a good research review article or research paper. You can take that course, and you can learn from there that how can you publish your articles by yourself. Rao, tell us where we use citations, introduction, literature review. I don't understand this question. You can use the citations in the introduction as well. You can use the citations in the literature review as well. You can use citation in both of these sections. Now, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. जी Muhammad Ilyas, ask your question.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम, क्या हाल है?
वालेकुम अस्सलाम
मेरा
जी।
क्वेश्चन ये है कि हम रिसर्च के लिए रिसर्च ग्रांट किस तरह लिखेंगे किसी कोलैबोरेशन पार्टी को?
Sorry? Can you repeat your question? Students, if you have any question, you can also write it in the chat box. In the meanwhile, Muhammad Ilyas, please explain your question again. Ask your question again. Okay, we can proceed to the next question if you are not there. Please ask your question, Muhammad Ilyas. Okay, I think he is not here.
Assalamualaikum, Ms.
If
Aksa.
Walaikum Assalam, yes,
Am I audible?
yes, yes.
I think the question by Ilyas was how can we collaborate with others, any
Okay.
communities and any other professors. I think he is
Mhm.
concerned about collaboration process
Collaboration for which purpose? For your job, for your PhD, for organizing a session, for which purpose?
for publication.
Okay, for publication. I think I have already identified this and that LinkedIn is one of those sources in which you can, for example, okay, you can personally approach the professor by sending email to this that I have read your research area and you are doing research in that topic and I am also writing paper on that topic, but for this I want to collaborate with you. You can personally approach the professors via email, via ResearchGate, but also LinkedIn is a very good platform where you can post publicly that you are doing research in that topic, you are writing content on this topic, and for this you need some collaborators that will act as an author or your corresponding author, and then many people will approach you and you can make the collaboration with them. Okay, it's clear to you or no?
I think
Okay,
he is not available right now.
Yes. Okay, let's take the next question. Razia, content published on LinkedIn be counted as a publication when applying for jobs or academic opportunities abroad? No, content published, no, they are not considered as a publication. You can say that it's not a publication, but yes, if you are active on if you are active on the LinkedIn, you keep posting. For example, you have these skills, you are working in this company, you are doing this or and if you have those specific domains that is required by a specific industry, then industry can approach you or you can approach that industry for the job, but this content cannot be considered as a publication. I have seen many people that are being selected by many companies through LinkedIn because they regularly posting their content regarding their work, and a specific industry approaches them or they approach the specific industry, but they are not considered as a publication for the future opportunities abroad. If any one of you have any question, you can raise your hand or write in the chat box. Okay, we can wait for 1 to 2 minutes. If there would be no questions, then we will wind up this session. Marwa, if you are here, you can wind up the session. I think there are no more queries from the participants.
Okay, fine. Thank you all for your active participation throughout today's session. I think there was Razia who has asked about session related to research, paper writing and publication. Am I right? She was concerned about paper publication process, not writing. Razia, we have noted your questions and suggestions, and we will do our best to organize more interactive sessions on these topics. I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Aksa Iqbal for delivering such an insightful and valuable session on how to write a strong research proposal. As the founder of Collab and Rise Global Society, I sincerely thank you for your time, dedication, and generous contribution to our community. It has been a privilege to host you, and we look forward to collaborating with you again in future. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in our upcoming webinars, workshops, and research training sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.